Hey everybody, Crow back again talking about Pinball Arcade losing the 61 Williams Bally tables, or at least not being able to purchase them after June 30th. This is the last video I'm going to make about it. This is more or less a follow-up to the last video I made about it. And in that video, I suggested like the top 10 tables. And I mentioned that if you had any suggestions of tables that I didn't mention, go ahead. I got a lot of responses. I got well over 100 recommendations, and I'll get into that after I'm going to talk about alternatives that other people have mentioned. This is more or less a video of comments, pretty much. I've made 3 videos on this topic so far. The first one was like from this point about a month and a half ago when we first found out, and it kind of described all the tables and the information of tables they're not going to be able to purchase, and then I made the the top not really top 10 but top 10 10 tables that I would recommend, and then this video is going to be all the based on all the comments I've received on those videos. But the first thing I wanted to mention were alternatives that people have mentioned, some legal, some not so legal. The very first thing that people were mentioning was that you could buy physical version of Pinball Arcade. At least Season 1 and Season 2. Now, there is a physical disc for Season 1. It's available in Europe and Europe region and the US, but Season 2 is only available in Europe, and again, that's only if you're gonna play it on the PlayStation 4. I don't think that's available for the Xbox One or Xbox 360 or anything. As far as I know, those releases are only available for the PlayStation. So if you do want somewhat of a physical version, I used to own it at one point. I did get rid of it because it was only the first season and I had it digitally anyway. The second thing is not so legal so much, but you could in fact pirate it. Crackers, hackers, whatever you want, and download it. Really, this is really only applicable for the PC version and possibly Android, possibly iOS. I know you can do it on Android pretty easily as well. I'm not going to go into any information on how to go about doing that. That's just something you're going to have to search for on your own. I'm not even going to respond to anybody in the comments asking on how to do that. I don't actually, because there's no need for me to do it. I already own and purchased all the tables. But, and generally in practice, I'm really kind of against piracy. I'm not for downloading illegal copies of games. But, you know what? Since after June 30th, these tables aren't going to be available anyway, that may be the only way you can get it. I'm kind of for it. And, license or no license, if it's not available, that option is there if you want to go digging into doing that yourself. And the third option, this was brought up quite a bit, is using Visual Pinball. Now, if you don't know what Visual Pinball is, and I barely have a grasp on what it is, but it's a tool where you could build your own pinball tables, as it were, but people have recreated real pinball tables, complete with, DMD, ROMs, and everything, and you could get that running on your PC. And again, this is only for PC, so it really doesn't even no good if you're going to do this on consoles or anything. But that option is there. However, as simple as some people may lead you believe it, it's not something you could just download and install and get running lickety-split. This is something you're going to have to read a whole lot of instructions on, install, run across errors. You're going to have to find the ROMs all separately. Think of it like MAME, except a little bit more complicated in getting things to run on MAME. So yeah, I wanted to bring up Visual Pinball. I can't remember exactly what the web address to go there. Look in the description if you're interested in that. I'll put the link to the website you could go. Again, I'm not going to have any information if you're asking questions about that in the comments. I would recommend just going to that website. You'll have to register to be able to log in and download anything. So I did kind of get started on it. I had it running in the past, and for some reason I wasn't too into it. I tried to do it again this weekend, and I only had like half an hour to mess around with it. and I couldn't get anything working. Otherwise, I'd show you some footage. But again, that's just probably me. I really have no incentive to go ahead and do this. Again, people who were working on these projects, they're going to say that it looks a lot better than Pinball Arcade. It's going to have better physics than Pinball Arcade. And you know what? It's true. You look for videos on YouTube. It does look a lot better than Pinball Arcade. But there's a lot of tweaking that that's involved in that and getting that to run too. So it's a trade-off there. So there you go. There's the 3 options if you want to play these tables or purchase these tables or play these tables. Let's say we're going to play these tables after June 30th and you haven't purchased them in Pinball Arcade. And I know a lot of people would argue, hey, just go to Visual Pinball to begin with because it's going to look a lot better there too. But again, there's a lot of setup involved. Again, but if you're into that, if you're going to take the time to get it all working, it may be worth your while. I know that if I was going to get a virtual pinball cabinet, I would definitely work on getting Visual Pinball on that as well. I mean, forget about that Arcuda stuff. I don't... yeah, I'm not going to get into the Arcuda stuff. Don't even ask about it in the comments. I don't even want to talk about it. Visual Pinball is the way to go, really, if you want to get those tables on a cabinet. And if I'm wrong, correct me on that. Again, it's not something I've looked heavily into. I like to just keep things kind of simple here on this channel, and Pinball Arcade was just a simple way to purchase and download the tables and play them without any hassle. Now, on to the second part, which was I asked people to recommend tables that I didn't recommend in the last video for people to purchase, and that's kind of why I'm doing this video now, is because I want to get this video out again at least sometime before June 30th, so, you know, so maybe somebody is interested in these tables and it's recommended. They'll say, hey, maybe I should download that. Now, if you don't remember the tables that I selected in my last video, they were Medieval Madness, Funhouse, Monster Bash, Twilight Zone, Attack from Mars, Centaur, The Addams Family, The Getaway High Speed 2, Doctor Who, and Banzai Run. And anybody in that last video that suggested another table, I kind of put it in a list and I kept a tally. And to give you an idea of how hard it is to recommend tables for the Pinball Arcade, out of the 51 tables that were left that are going to be disappearing other than those, almost somebody selected almost every single one of the other tables left. I think there was about 15 tables left that nobody suggested. Some of them I thought was kind of surprising that nobody suggested, but that leaves a whole lot of other tables that people selected. And I'm not going to go through all of the ones that were suggested, but there were 5 tables that got 5 mentions each, or 5 recommendations each, and I'll go through all of those. I would have liked to mention more, but the next highest were 4, and 11 tables got 4 suggestions, recommendations in the last video. So 4 different people suggested each of these tables. I had well over 100 suggestions for tables, but I'm just going to run through really quick the tables that got 4 votes, and those were Theater of Magic, Taxi, Scared Stiff, Star Trek The Next Generation, Black Knight 2000, World Champion Soccer, Safecracker, Cactus Canyon, Fishtails, Junkyard, and Who Done It. All great tables. I would recommend it. I don't have anything against any one of these tables. They're all great tables. So if you're thinking about buying any one of those tables, there's your recommendations to go get those. Now for the tables that got 5 recommendations from 5 different people each, we'll just go in any random order, and I'll kind of do I'll show some footage with a little bit of a quick off the cuff commentary. I don't know if you knew this, but in my last video I had actually scripted it all. Here it's going to be not scripted, but the first one we have here, and again this is not in any particular order, they each got 5 each. We have Whitewater. It's the one with the Yeti. I know this is a very popular table in real life. I'm a little bit iffy on this one in Pinball Arcade. It just seems like I lose the ball way too easy. But it's still a fun table. I still would recommend Whitewater. There's it's a table about trying to get your raft to down the road. I think you have to get all 7 or 8 rafts. I can't remember how many rafts there are. Get them all to Wet Willies, and then there's a big mode there. Again, I don't play this table too much. I get a little bit too frustrated often with this table, but again, I still recommend it. Next up, we have Judge Dredd. This table I so wanted to recommend myself, but I was limited to 10, and I had to cut one out. But yeah, this is based off of that satirical comic from Britain or UK or wherever it's from. But yeah, it's just a fantastic table. I've never read one of the... I've only seen both movies, the Stallone one and the more recent one that was awesome. And I've never read the comic myself, but this just oozes like just a comic appeal, great humor in it. I'm not normally a big fan of wide body tables, but this one is just fantastic. They give you a lot of modes and stuff in this one. And there's 2 game modes. You're getting 2 game modes into this one. You're getting the regular game mode and you're getting a super game mode, which is pretty much the same as the regular game mode, but every ball starts off with a multi-ball mode. It's a fun table all the way around. And then next up here, we got Bram Stoker's Dracula. Again, another really popular table based off of the movie. I wanted to say what year it came out, but I'm not sure. It was either 91 or 92. I want to say it came out in 92. I could be wrong, though. But, yeah, very popular table. I mean, it's got the mist, multi-ball thing where the ball kind of floats across the table. And that's the kind of thing that's cooler to see in real life than it is in a digital pinball version of the table. But still, it's a pretty good representation of it nonetheless. Again, this wouldn't have been one I was struggling. This was easy for me not to put in my top 10. But honestly, I can see where people would really like this table. And if you're thinking about it, I think you would like it too. Next up, we have Tales of the Arabian Nights. And I haven't been saying what seasons these tables are from, but I'm sure I'm going to be mentioning that in the actually in the little indicator in the corner or whatever. But Tales of the Arabian Nights. But yeah, this is another one of those tables that's more fun to play in real life, I think. And I think the reason I didn't recommend it is because the table's been out there forever. It's even been in the Williams collection on the Xbox 360. So, I've played this table to death in the digital form. And also, in a way, I don't know if it's just me, but the table seems kind of easy. It seems like I could get to the rescue the princess fairly easily, especially since you could just wish for the gems you need instead of actually playing the modes. So, I mean, if you want to play like harder and not wish for it, you could do it that way too. But I always just wish for the gems just so I can rescue the princess. In some games, I've actually done that multiple times. But yeah, it's a great table anyway. I certainly can't, if you're interested in this table, I say go ahead, get it. You'd buy either the core table pack or Season 1. If you buy Season 1, you would also get this as well. And then finally, lastly, the 5th of the tables that got 5 votes, Creature from the Black Lagoon. And this is Season 1? Yeah. Again, I shouldn't even mention by now since I was forgetting to mention them before, but this is a fun table. I can certainly see it. This is one of those tables that I wasn't gung-ho about at first, but it certainly grew on me over time. The whole theme of the table is that it's kind of like a double theme. Not only is it the creature from the Black Lagoon, but it's about being in the 1950s and going into a drive-through to see the creature from the Black Lagoon. So you're basically in the drive-through for a lot of it, and then the movie starts, and then one of the main modes is the creature attacking people, or the actual movie itself. So it's kind of a weird double theme type of table. And it's kind of like an awkward table to get used to, I think. I think the flippers are kind of at an odd angle at this, but honestly, it's a fun table once you really get into it. So I also would recommend. I recommend all these tables. It's like I'm saying, it's so hard to just pick 10. And when I ask for recommendations, almost every table gets at least one recommendation. So there's another 5 highly recommended tables. And then after that, another 11 with 4 votes that I did before that. So that's going to be the final video. This is going to be the final video on that whole Bally Williams thing, disappearing from Pinball Arcade, unless something unexpected happens. I'm going to be moving on from here. I won't talk about Pinball Arcade again until they release another table. It will probably be something from Stern that's already been in Stern Pinball Arcade, but I'll still make a video on that. I want to move on to Zaccaria Pinball, I think. Even though that is still in early access, it's been in early access for 2 years. I don't think it's going to get out of early access, so I'll probably be moving on to that. And I kind of will have a kind of an announcement video I think I should probably be making within the next couple of weeks, seeing as how this event is going to be taking place in July. So look forward to that. If you're in the Chicagoland area, I'll be somewhere. I'll just leave it at that. Well, yeah, leave it at that. Wait for the next video, find out where that is and what it is, and I don't even know what I'll be doing there, but I'll be there. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.